the mine or what, but it's located directly above your powerhouse, going in that direction there. And obviously down, out that way, up that way, up that way. Directly up here in the trees, you can't see it, but would be 3,900 portal. And that was the main entrance to the mine for 70 years or more. We used to ride in on these things called coaches. They're two-sided. There'd be men loaded on both sides, and Monday morning, you didn't want to be on. So 6,300 feet straight into the mine in the portal, a straight shot. So well over a mile. So it was 15 minutes going in and 15 minutes coming out at least. It was pulled by an electric motor. It was all radio operated. So as soon as they got to the entrance, guy would radio and say, men coming in on the coaches. So that way no traffic would come up if you didn't want to put it one-way spread. So these started out, you were just sitting on planks years and years ago, then they put a roof on. Then they actually added doors. My door. Well, the odd guy fell out. Going in or out. And that's fast. So they decided to put doors. And trust me, when you were a young guy, you got jammed in the corner. And the old guys got to sit in the middle by the door so they could get fresh air. Work 15 minutes. So when these went out of, well, they didn't go out of existence, but the whole mine operation moved up to 4,200, new dry, new office. Then we went in by trucks, called man carriers. They held about 30 or 30. And then we had various shafts and skips. There were 5 of them located in the mine. We're going to show you one over here, and that's how the third way we got in. So, like I say, this is quite an adventure going in on these. But it was part of your 8 hours with your ride in and your ride out. So made for a shorter day. So we're going to move on. And I mentioned to you folks, the whole mine working used to be down here. All the machines dropped. There was about 4 more big buildings above this that had the dry and the off and everything. So now you can see it's all reclaimed. I mean, this was horrible looking around here 30, 40 years ago. This creek was running every color of the rainbow. Fish were dead in it. Now it's been revitalized. There's fish in it. And you notice all the green grass when you come up on the train. That used to be mine tailings. Now it's been covered up in grass. All the animals love it. Like all the deer have their fawns on this side of it. There'll be 20 does in there having fawns in another couple of weeks. And all this has been recycled. So tech keeps making the place better. Like they own the place, so they're duty bound. They can't just leave it in disrepair. So, you know, they've done a lot of good things here, even the fact that they're not running the mine. They still own it. So let's head on in. Now, if you look right up the end of the valley, there's a couple of openings up there. They're hard to see right now, but at the base of that is our water reservoir for the city of Kimberley. So believe it or not, this is what the water used to come down through. This is an old water pipe with a wooden stage, just like a whiskey barrel, but it was for water. And it used to be on the surface, and I can remember as a kid, we used to walk on top of this pipe all the way up the valley to go up to the reservoir fishing, which we weren't supposed to do. But kids being kids, we get, you know, crazy thing. Anyway, that's a stage. And people say, what was it lined with? And I said, well, I hope not creosote. But it looks, you know, doesn't look very, you wouldn't want to drink it. Now, this would be the third method. This was located in a shaft. It's called a skip. It ran on rails, built on big timbers, and all the shafts were like 40, 45 degrees. So there's 5 of these located throughout the mine. And this would hold, you can't see now, I want to get this refurbished because there was wooden seats in here. You get the idea, maybe a dozen, 15 people could sit on here. But you had to sit down. You couldn't stand up in it because the rock was about this high above it at the same angle. And you zoomed along pretty good. This was run on a cable, like I said, on rails. A hoistman ran it. He was located outside, so he's running this thing sight unseen. We had a skip tender, be a young guy. He would walk up and say, I want to go to 3,500 level, for example. He'd give the guy the signal, they'd coordinate the effort. You jump on, they close the gate, and away you go. You get 35, he opens it up, you get out, you go and do your thing. At the end of the day, you come back and get on. So that's how you went up and down, you know, from different levels. And like I say, 5 of these located within the mine. And yeah, we want to get this pre-furby change and see it. But it was amazing. The guy outside could run it and it wasn't even looking at it. But he had marks on all the cables. And honest to God, they could set this thing down to the level where it was within half an inch. Like you wouldn't trip or anything getting on it. And every once in a while, because the cable will stretch with use, and they have to recalibrate it, but it's never out more than an inch or something. So anyway, that's called a skip. And that's be the third way we get from level to level. So let's go on inside.
So the old version, like when I'm on the job site, we have a bigger page now.
That's the OG one.
Yeah.
Now I tell folks when you come to the door, take a look at that picture right there. Because remember I said, you know, working in a mine, one thing that could maybe bother some people's confined spaces, for example. Well, that would be a pretty good representation of what I call a confined space. So that's 2 long hole drillers. That would have been in the 40s sometime. And you see they have no safety glasses, they have no hearing protection, they have nothing. But that's the way it was in those days. Yeah. Well, I was born in 47, so I was a gleam, you know? But anyway, that's what, you know, I just show it so you get an idea of the confinement. Now, this, I'm sure some of you folks remember Expo 67, the World's Fair in Montreal, Quebec. This is an example of the gold mine ore that was on display out. And you notice all the different places, the black algae was in here. But for example, there's 22 ounces of silver in this rock. We're not a silver mine, but we produce just shy of 2 million ounces of silver as a byproduct. Kodak bought it all because it was low radiated silver and high quality, so they did all the photography business. We also produced enough gold that went down to meet the payroll. And those are things we were even looking for. So we're basically like the same. But there's all kinds of stuff in here. Canyon, lead, zinc, iron, sulfur, antimony, bismuth, silver, tin. So yeah, it's a pretty cool rock. If you get the idea, the largest ore body we ever found was 300 feet thick. And look at this, this would be a pebble. Well, look at this room, for example. If you emptied out this room and then made it another 250 feet higher, that would be the size of their largest ore body. So this, all this equipment in here still runs too, believe it or not. But this compressor is what we're going to turn on for you. Now these 4 gentlemen right here are the 4 guys that I said were walking around in the mountain picking rocks and happened to hit the motherlode. This gentleman here is Pat Sullivan. They named the mine after him because he was killed in mining accident in Idaho.
These are relays, electromagnetic.
Now, when they discovered this thing, that was in 1896, and it was located above the old little mine that came out of the base for 1898, they moved across the street from the mine on this way ever since. They sold the claim for $18,000, 18 grand. But they had no idea how big it was going to be. They didn't know it was going to make billions. And they probably had a pretty good party in 1800 something, 18 grand. But these 4 guys, I don't think were partying. I knew this old gentleman. He was the last one to hang on. But that's the 4 guys that discovered it. Now, this compressor, this supplies all the air to the equipment we ran underground. So I ran a jackleg and a market machine. They both require air. They need 90 psi pounds per square inch. So in the old days, there might be 400 or 500 pieces of equipment on a given day work running in the mine simultaneously. This supplied all the power. So 120 years old. It started out at the St. Eugene mine in Moye, BC. You go through the little town of Moye, the mine was right on the edge of the lake. Tech bought it from them, moved it up here, and it's been here ever since. The rope on here is a 2,000-foot rope. It's a continuous rope. And I used to say to people, can you spot the splice in it? And God forbid, there it is right there, the splice is right in front of me. Because usually I turn it on and I'll say, how about locate the splice? Nobody can find it. So that was a specific splice that had to be done, and they checked all over the world, couldn't find anybody. The guy in the splice for eternity, they came to the dead. So it's pretty cool. We've got a lot of people in Kimberley that have done some great things. We've got guys on top of Mount Everest and everything else, and those are all Kimberley. So it's not bad. So when I turn this on, you're going to see it runs really slow. And of course, the young guys, they all, oh, turn it up. But no, that's full bore. You're going to see these big pistons, they hardly move, but this thing displaces a lot of air. And it has booster pumps all the way along going into the mine. So this was just for equipment. Breathing air, we had underground, we had fresh air fans on the surface, brought in fresh air, converted the exhaust fans, took out the gas and smoke. So, this rope was changed in 2020, if you can believe it. The original rope was 108 years old. There's a piece of it on the flag down here when you walk by, you see it. They got pretty good service at 108 years. So let's climb down this way. And this is an interesting picture. This is the building where we're located. We're right above here. So you look above here, other great buildings are located on this wall. Directly above there, this would have been the dry and offices. These are all offices, these are routine shops. We're in this building right here, and it's the only one still left. You can see how ugly it was around here. It's all mined in. It's just horrible. Now it's been, redone. It looks pretty good. But this was in my day. I mean, I used to live up here in Thompson. I used to walk down this road right here to come to work every morning. So, I'm familiar with this. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's what it looked like in, years back. So, this is a piece of rope. This is a sample of the original rope that was on here. Like I say, it was 108 years old. And it's all kept like, people say, why did they put cable on the wall? Because this thing, once it gets rolling, it doesn't need a lot of power, and the rope doesn't stop. It's a lot less. Now, this is a cotton wheel on too that was turned by water in the day. They're using electricity. It still turns, but it used the water on the first. They changed it towards the creek because in the 40s, downtown and stuff like that, on Little Mark Creek. You can walk in buildings right there, but they changed the water. So this still turns, it doesn't want to be music anymore. Now, these ropes can be tension adjusted. This is a tension wheel in the middle. It's got a weight, it's sled, and it's got a block and down. If they want to make it tighter, they can physically tighten it or loosen it. We're going to turn this on for you. And the water will now that's the water. See, here's the blood coming out. We see that little drops of yellow. That's where that was. So what was the answer for 140 years old? But trust me, if this is not a hiccup, you're going to have that over here right now. This is their game. So the real game is looking at the water, and if we're on both sides, we'll go up and two levels. Well, why we're starting in mine tomorrow, and I needed to compress this would fit the bill right now. But how the hell do I get it to where I want to go? You need 3, low backs to move it. And a new one would be probably half the size, be all electronic components, which is fine, but they break down all the time. This thing is all mechanical, and that's why it's still running.
Yeah.
Because it can be repaired even though it's 120 years old. Now, behind that gentleman right there, see that truck and that scoop tram? That's mechanized mining. And that's where I said mining on steroids. I mean, it's much bigger than the stuff I use. So it just gives you an idea, and those machines they're multi-million-dollar machines as opposed to that drill I was running in now. So here's some pictures here. This is what the coaches look like. This is taken in 1944. Remember I said all the men get on there? And this is before they had blowers. Well, you can see how many men and everything on both sides. So all these drivers don't exist. And there was just a bad guy trying to get through the doorway. All these guys are standing in the gate and want to go have a shower. And you think you couldn't have a shower because there were 500 showers. It wasn't like that. There was only 3 or 4. And up above there that's what we rode in when we moved farther up the mountain. Those were trucks that we rode in. And this was Kimberley Gardens. It was a factory for years and years. Very nice gardens. And Kimberley actually paid they had a guy that lived there, who was the gardener and everything. It's kind of fallen into disarray, but they got excuse me, $1 million grant, and they're going to revitalize it. So.
They have done that. I was there
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah, they've done a lot of those wrong.
Looks like they
Yeah.
got their gardens planted and
Yeah.
roses and roses.
Yeah. Which is good. There's a lot of people now that who kind of, now, remember I ran that track? There's the equivalent of that. That's all the jumbo. That thing's probably 1.5 million. Exactly, that matters probably. Mechanized mining is great, it's very powerful. Heavy equipment. So, like I say, when we do work, that compressor, they probably didn't have enough air when we went back nice, so we bought 2 more compressors that are located down here. They got it from mines, bars from down there, we were around the place across up here. We got more air than we need, but they don't have plant. This is interesting because it's a scale model of the mine. And this is done by 5 guys that work here. And you know, you probably, some of you got relatives or whatever that are model crane buffs or something like that. I had an uncle, the whole basement was full of railways and everything. Well, these guys, they decided their hobby was going to make a life-size version of or a scale version of the mine. Now, just to give you an idea of where we're at, where I'm looking at the end of this little green stick, and if I go like 50 feet above me, that's where that 3,900 portal would be located. So from the end of this stick, where it makes the first little bend, that's 6,300 feet straight in. And the rest of this, I mean, you know, I don't know this lots of time, and I don't know exactly what it represents. It's a labor level. These guys did this on their own. They weren't getting 20 commissions. They just decided they were going to do it. So it's pretty cool. Where's that little guy? No, I don't do that. There you go. So anyway, that is, that's where the lead comes in. But when they built this mine, we were made it that because we thought, you know, the world's over, you know. But can't lose